Okay, yes. Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. I call to the order of the agenda for the Fitchburg Common Council meeting for May 9, 2023. The first thing is to call to the order to the meeting. It's 7:30. And please, the next item on the agenda is the pledge to allegiance. So please stand up. So next is roll call.
Alder Allen is absent with excuse. Mayor Radafrada.
Here.
Alder Gerhart.
Here.
Alder Herbst.
Aquí.
Alder Jutzer.
Here.
Alder Maldonado.
Here.
Alder Strassman.
Here.
Alder Udell.
Here.
Alder Wheeler.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. Next in the agenda is public appearances for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone? No? Okay. So next is a mayoral proclamation. We are recognizing National Police Week and Peace Officer Memorial Day. So whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15 as a National Peace Officer Memorial Day, and the calendar week on which May 15 falls as a National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays a special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others, and
Whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of the city of Fitchburg play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of the city of Fitchburg, the city of Fitchburg also desires to honor the courage, service, and dedication of its law enforcement officers, and
whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of the police department, and that members of our police department recognize their commitment to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception, and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And
whereas the police department of the city of Fitchburg has grown to be a professional and progressive law enforcement agency that unceasingly provides a vital public service.
now, therefore, I, Julia Ratafrata, Mayor of the City of Fitchburg, along with the Fitchburg City Council, do now call upon all citizens of Fitchburg and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 15 to the 21st of 2023 as Police Week in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered and dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing, have established for themselves an enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens.
Further, I encourage citizens of the city of Fitchburg to observe May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes.
To proclaim this 9th day of May of 2023. So I want to say thank you to our police department. Some of the members are here, so I welcome you to come and to have a picture with me.
I want to thank the Mayor and the Council for this proclamation and the Fitchburg community. This is quite an honor. Coming from 30 years of law enforcement experience, I had the unfortunate opportunity or experience of losing several members to the profession. It hurts. Just a little background, I don't know if it's been made public, but even the officer that was lost over the weekend over in St. Croix, she leaves behind a newborn child. And those are the stories we don't hear of the family that's left behind through the selfless acts of people in the law enforcement community. So thank you very much for recognizing that. We appreciate you, and thank you so very, very much.
All right, photo. Yes, scoot in there a little bit if you could. Even a little closer. I think I do need that coat. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next in our agenda is the mayoral appointments. So we have 3 new appointments and 1 reappointment. So I'm gonna call first to Christopher Peguero for Parks Commission. So hi, Chris. Can you tell us where do you live and why you want to be appointed to this commission?
Sure. Thank you, and good evening, alders and Mayor Aurata Frata, and thank you for consideration for the appointment this evening for Parks Commission. A little background about me. My name is Christopher Peguero. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am a Wisconsin native, Menominee tribe, and also immigrant roots from Mexico. My father's from Laredo, Texas, and originally I'm from Laredo, Texas as well. I did grow up here in Wisconsin and did my undergraduate work at University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point before moving out to the Seattle area to start my career. My background has always been an interest of the intersection of the outdoors and access to the outdoors and equitable access. So my background, of course, I mentioned my race and gender and sexual orientation. My desire as a child was to get outside as often as possible, and if it wasn't in a neighborhood, it was to get to parks or go to summer camp. Because we lived in Green Bay and were economically challenged, that was a challenge for me. That pivotal experience as a child informed me as what I wanted to do in my career. So I went to school at Stevens Point, wanted to become a forester, and work for the Menominee Tribal Enterprises. I made this recognition at Schmeekley Reserve that as a queer brown person doing work in the environmental sector in forestry, that might not be a good place for me to thrive. So that pushed me into sociology and eventually out to the Northwest to start my career. I did work for many environmental nonprofits, one being ECO, the Environmental Careers Organization out of Boston, and then I eventually ended up working for the city of Seattle, where I worked for 13 years for the public electric utility, Seattle City Light, in the Environmental Affairs and Real Estate Division. Part of my experience there, again, was the intersection of equity and inclusion and how that informed our environmental policies at Seattle City Light. I had the fortunate opportunity to be part of the City of Seattle's Race and Social Justice Initiative and the core team, City Organizers for Racial Equity, and then started Seattle City Light's Environmental Equity and Environmental Justice Program based on the City of Seattle's Equity and Environment Initiative and Agenda. We like long names for things in government. Eventually, the pandemic brought my husband and our kids home to Madison, and we've settled in the Fitchburg area. And I worked for the City of Madison at the Madison Parks Division as the Assistant Superintendent for Parks, and oversaw the Community Services program. And again, I was the executive sponsor in that position for the Racial Equity and Social Justice Initiative and the Parks Racial Equity Action Plan. So I spent a year at Parks Division before I found a position at Promega, where I am now, leading their diversity, equity, inclusion work. And I'm proud to work here locally, live locally here in the Fitchburg area. So we're about 2 miles from campus here. And this is an extension of Promega since we're just across the road. But love the area. And one other tidbit for the alders. I did run for city council in Seattle. I didn't win, but that brought me here, so I appreciate being back home.
Thank you, Chris. So I need a motion. Oh, we need a,
I'll move approval.
Second.
any question for Chris? No?
I love questions.
No? Okay, all those in favor of approving Chris for the Park Commission, say aye.
Aye.
And any nays? The motion carry. Okay. So, Gabriel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you and welcome. Yeah. So next is Javier Neira Salazar. Is for zoning boards of appeals. So Javier.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Javier Neira. And Javier Neira Salazar. I usually don't do both last names, but Neira my pronouns are he, him, his, and él. I am Latino. I identify as a Latino male, and I am an immigrant also, which is some of the fun facts about me. I work for the University of Wisconsin currently. It is my full-time job. I work, actually started yesterday, working for Dr. Mora Pinzon, who is working on Alzheimer's research. And her work is primarily identifying some of the precursors for Alzheimer's in the Latino community. So that's something that I am very much involved in. Going back into my community and actually helping and inform them, and that's something that I have always been passionate about. I went through high school here. I actually graduated from Memorial High School in the city of Madison, but I've been living here in Fitchburg for the last year and a half or 2 years now. It's going to be 2 years now. In 2793 Sunflower Drive. Which is just a few, I think less than a mile away from here. And I absolutely been in love with the city of Fitchburg. I didn't know how beautiful it was, and I have fallen in love from just how the community has actually embraced us. And something that I wanted to do with this particular appointment was to actually learn. I have a long life learner. I have a master's from the University of Wisconsin in educational policy, and I have always loved to see how government from this side of the aisle would look like in terms of making policies work. And this is one of the reasons why I really love making sure that that we give that information to the public. So. A little bit about why the zoning. I also work as a part-time as a realtor, and at some point I think I will make the transition into actually realty for the future. And I think this opportunity would allow me to actually not only give back to the community, but also learn and how this is, with the current state of real estate and how everything is moving in terms of how much housing is needed within the Dane County area, right? Is one of the things that I really would love to know how we can make our different communities be more able to actually live in an affordable way here within Dane County, and especially in the city of Fitchburg, where we have increasingly become a lot more diverse. And that's something that I'm also very passionate about. Going back into what I said from the beginning, very passionate about helping the different communities within the Madison area, and then here in Fitchburg, especially now that I live here. So I would love to put my time into the hands of the elders and the mayor to be able to actually help in any way possible.
Thank you, Javier. And we need a...
So move.
Any question for Javier? No? All those in favor of approving Javier Neira for the Zoning Board of Appeals, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Javier.
Thank you.
So next is Adrian Kangas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Adrian, for the library board. So for this seat, we need someone that we need a school representative for this seat. So it had to be someone from the Oregon School, the Madison School, or Verona. So Adrian is representing the Oregon School District. So, okay, go ahead.
Yes, hi, I'm Adrienne Kangas.
Adrienne.
I am the librarian at Oregon High School. A little bit of my background. I grew up in Waupun, Wisconsin. I went to Whitewater for college. I got my undergrad in secondary English education. I was an English teacher for 9 years in Monticello. Along with my bachelor's, I was certified in library media. That was my minor. And then I went back to Whitewater for my master's in libraries, technology, and information. And then I also did another bachelor's at Milwaukee in IT because I didn't know if I always wanted to be in the school world, but I'm still there. So I then went to Evansville after teaching English and began my library career in Evansville for 4 years. And now I'm in Oregon. It's my sixth year there. And I have served on the Evansville Library Board before, so I have a little bit of experience and just excited to become part of a new team.
Thank you. So I need a motion.
I move approval.
Second by Randy. Any question? So all of in favor to approve Adrian Kangas to the library board, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you and welcome. So next is the reappointment of James Roberts for the EMS Commission. Is he here? No? Okay. So,
Move approval.
second? Do we have
Second.
Huh?
Second.
So he's not here, so I don't know. We can vote? Okay. Yeah. So all those in favor of reappointment James Roberts, say aye.
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 Nays, the motion carries. So, okay, so we have this part. So thank you very much. So you don't need to stay for the rest of the meeting, so, you know. So, but I want to say thank you for serving in commission, and we appreciate that commitment, okay? Okay, thank you, okay? Bye. So next in our agenda is the consent agenda. We need to approval of the minutes. So do I have a motion?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second that motion.
Any discussion? No? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carried. So thank you. So next we move to item number 6, an administrator's report.
Good evening, everyone. Got a number of items here on the report for you all. First item is the B-Cycle official ribbon cutting is tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 p.m. That's at 5500 East Sherrill Parkway. It'll be near the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce office / Agora Pavilion. So hopefully everyone can make it. I know the B-Cycles have been out and about in the community for about a month and getting quite a bit of use. So it's great to see Phase 1 roll out, and Phase 2 is planned for later this year. The Fitchburg Chamber is hosting their Biz After Hours event again, May 18th at 4 p.m. at Me and Julio's. There will be a public information meeting on May 25th at 6 p.m. right here in the council chambers. That is in regards to the Fitrona Road reconstruction project. That segment would be from Nesbitt Road to Tonto Trail. Lacey Road, construction work is actually going to begin tomorrow there. The construction crew has mobilized and will begin working tomorrow, and you should expect to see a road closure west of the intersection with Seminole Highway back towards Fitrona Road next week. The intersection at Seminole Highway will remain open for the time being, likely until school is out. Sherrill Drive, the stormwater project there is beginning. You may have seen some equipment show up and some road closed signs. That road will be closed between Charleston and Jacqueline Drive beginning today until mid-June. And let's see, some things happening in City Hall from a project perspective. You may have noticed, for those of you who are in the Public Safety and Human Services Committee meeting, that the new audiovisual equipment was installed in the Genie Ceiling meeting room. They are continuing some configuration and testing of the equipment, so it's not quite complete, but it is certainly operational and was utilized today for our department head meeting and a couple other meetings in that building, or in that meeting room, and then also tonight for a committee meeting. So thank you to Jeremy and the FACT crew for coordinating that project, and thanks to the council for supporting it to get completed. The city has introduced a work group who has begun to kick off creation of a mission, vision, and values for city employees, the city organization as a whole. We'll look to keep the council informed as that group does its work. There's also been a work group formed internally with city staff to assess our communications and outreach, both internally and externally, and how we potentially can improve that. There was a bid request that has gone out for the improvements to the front counter at the city clerk's area. That was part of the ARPA TID investment plan. We anticipate that bids will be received on June 1st, well, they're due June 1st, and hopefully we'll have a number of competitive bids there. Our hope is to have that work done in time for the tax collection period, since that area gets heavy use during that time of year. We are also in the process in planning and zoning of finalizing contracts with the selected vendor for the two neighborhood plans, that being South Stoner Prairie neighborhood and the Greenfield neighborhood. And planning and zoning is also beginning contract development regarding a portion of the teen center RFP that went out a couple of months ago. And then the last item I have on my list before any questions is you all have probably seen some of the news coverage on the potential change in shared revenue for local government. It is long-awaited news that's come out. You may have seen the governor's original proposal would have afforded the city of Fitchburg approximately $2 million in additional state aid. That is differing from the recently introduced proposal by the GOP legislature to change the formulas and shared revenue. Under their proposal, the city of Fitchburg would receive approximately $500,000. More to come on that. It is certainly a positive development. The $500,000, if that's what ends up to be, will certainly be helpful in continuing to maintain status quo in the services that are already being provided within the city. We'll continue to stay informed and involved in that process, and we'll share any updates as we get them. Questions on anything? Go ahead, Dave.
Have you had any discussions about, there was in the legislature, there was talk, that money would be available for economies or, things with other communities to, has that been a point of discussion?
So there is what's currently termed to be an innovation fund under consideration as part of that package. From what I understand, there's a potential for about $300 million to be allocated under that innovation fund, which would allow local units of government to identify areas where they could potentially cost share and or consolidate services. And you would need to demonstrate a certain level of savings over your existing expenditures over that 3-year period in order to qualify to receive some funding under that program. The details from other than that have not been released, so I don't know exactly what it will all look like, but what's been out publicly is what we've been able to review.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other question? Gabriel.
Do we have an update on the Fitchburg Star and what's possibilities for expanding service again?
So Where we're at with that currently is Mayor Rada Frada and I need to continue some conversations on that topic. One thing that could be feasible or consideration is that we allow the work group that was just recently formed, the Communications and Outreach Work Group, because one of their intentions is to actually survey the community to see what sort of information they would like to receive and how they might like to receive that. And I think it could be helpful to evaluate that in a reasonable time frame before making a commitment to some other medium at this point in time.
Was there, I thought that the paper had expressed interest in discussing this. Am I incorrect about that? And I don't know if they've made any action to communicate with the city about that.
So in other conversations with them earlier this year, they did mention that they would be interested in increasing the distribution for a corresponding increase in the fee that we pay to advertise in the Star.
Okay, but they haven't brought any.
They've thrown out an estimate as to what that would cost. It'd be about $8,000 more than what we were paying in the past. And at this point in time, we obviously didn't have that money budgeted for 2023. So at some point, if we decide to return to advertise with a corresponding increase in distribution, it would require the city to identify where they would fund that.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other question? Okay, so thank you, Chad. So next we move to the commission and committees reports. So the first one is Plan Commission. So Gabriela?
I'll move to postpone rezone RZ 250123 to the June 13th meeting.
Second.
And this is at the applicant's request, just need more time.
Okay. All those in favor of postponing resolution rezone RZ-2501-23, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
I'll move to postpone preliminary plat PP 2523 to the June 13th meeting.
Second.
And this is related to the last one, again, at the applicant's request.
All those in favor to postpone preliminary plat PP-2500-23, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Next.
Yeah, I'll move approval of Resolution R-7023, a resolution releasing a portion of public utility easement within Lot 18 in the Hatchery Hill Plat, City of Fitchburg, Wisconsin.
Second.
So this is, there was a 10-foot public utility easement for that area that was granted in 1997. The hotel was actually built slightly into that. It encroaches about 5 feet into the easement. This became known, and the property owner was requesting a release of the portion of that easement around that part of the building. And they also had to go through each of the utilities to request a release. All the utilities have granted that to them, so the last step is for the city. And there will still be a 3.5-foot portion of the 10-foot utility if we need future utilities, but there's no current utilities in that easement. I don't know if Dave wanted to add anything from public.
No, you covered it thoroughly. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. So all of the in favor of resolution R-70-23, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So thank you, Gabriela. Next, we move to Board of Public Works.
I'll move approval of Resolution R-8823, granting a non-compensable public utility easement on Outlot 23 of Swan Creek. And this was postponed from April 25th.
Second.
Did Public Works approve?
Public Works approved.
Did Plan Commission approve?
Yes.
What is this, David?
So with the Saguin Road expansion, where the power lines are, they need to be moved. There's no room really in the road right of way for them to go, but Outlot 23 is available. We are granting them an easement to put their MG&E to put their facilities in that outlot so they can be undergrounded. But in the future, if that space is needed or something else, MG would have to move their lines at no cost to us. So that's why it's a non-compensable public utility easement. They would have preferred they be compensable, but we said no.
Any questions? Nope. All those in favor of resolution R-88-23, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next, I'll move approval, Resolution R 8923, accepting professional services proposal for McKee Farms Park tennis courts.
Second.
Did Public Works approve?
Public Works approved.
Did Park Commission approve?
Park Commission approved.
Did Finance Committee approve?
Finance Committee approved.
Okay, what is this, David?
So we are hiring a professional service for the redesign and construction oversight management of the refurbished tennis courts at McKee Farms Park. We had one bid. We went out for bids, and we only had one firm bid on this. This is their business doing this type of work. Their number, approximately $40,000, was within engineer's estimate for this work, and we deemed it acceptable. This also includes a survey of the existing tennis court to get firm dimensions or firm corners of this property. So I think that's all I have on it.
So we have Scott. Scott, do you want to add anything?
Nope, I think that's well said, unless you got questions, for sure.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Can I just add, Madam Mayor, that this is more on the design of it. We're putting down a different surface. We're planning a different surface with hopefully a longer lifetime. Right now the court actually itself is not in that bad a shape, but the area between the courts has large cracks and the fence is pulled up. I wish there was a different option, but I think this is what we're stuck with.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. All those in favor of resolution R-88-23, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. And then we move to Park Commission. So
I'll move approval, Resolution R 8423, amending the 2023 Park Fee Fund Budget, additional pickleball court amenities.
Second.
did the Park Commission approve?
Park Commission approved.
Did Finance Committee approve?
Finance Committee approved, yes.
Okay, thank you. So I have a couple of people here that they want to speak on this matter. So first, I'm going to call Shaylee Reynolds to the microphone. She wished to speak, I don't know if in favor or in favor?
Of course.
In support, okay.
Support.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi. I want to thank the city of Fitchburg for building these amazing courts for us, for the city last year. And I also want to thank the council and the mayor for considering these upgrades that we are requesting for the courts. I also want to take a second to thank Scott Endel for putting up with our pickleball nonsense for the last year. He's been amazing. So I'm Shelley Reynolds. I'm the vice president of the Capital Area Pickleball Association, or CAPA. I've been involved with the courts since their inception, and I've witnessed the growth of the sport, especially in Fitchburg. As you can see by the document that I had provided, the courts have been very, very busy. Pickleball is a very welcoming sport where anyone in the community can show up to play in the morning from 8 to 12, and it's called open play, and that's similar to pickup basketball. So anybody's come and play, and they're welcome to enjoy the courts. CAPA this last year offered many meetup events where beginners could come to learn to play. Novices could play with others at their own level, and intermediates could play together too. As a matter of fact, our coaches taught over 500 beginners to play last year, and at the courts, just at McGaw courts, and that was free. So beginners are generally charged if you go through other areas to get to learn to play pickleball, but ours were free, and a couple of the coaches are here tonight. So CAPA, it's hard to keep track of how many players are out playing, but if you ever go out there in the mornings or in the evenings, you'll see that it's very busy. But from what we can tell, we had over 1,200 players last year alone. hit those courts, and that didn't include the opportunities that Fitchburg Parks Department sponsored, groups of families, groups of friends playing together either. So a good example is we do have one event that we have every Friday night. It's called Pickles and Beer. And last year we had at least over 40 people every Friday night join us. And the last 2 Fridays here this spring has been over 60 people every Friday night. So we're getting a lot of people that want to play. Although these courts are fabulous and we love to play, there are some improvements that need to be done to continue to have these large numbers of players. Because of the lack of trees and landscaping, because it's a field, the wind in that location is a deterrent to bringing in more new players and keeping the existing players from going to other courts in the area who have existing wind mitigation in place. Last year, Fitchburg installed slats in the fencing to help with the wind issue, but we found that isn't enough. So we're hoping that the funds that you approve will allow the purchase of more slats to stop the wind from affecting play. Also, as you approach the courts, there isn't a walkway to enter the end gates, so players walk through wet grass and mud to get on the courts, and that can cause slipping and injuries. We were also provided with old picnic tables last year that were falling apart, and we really need a place to gather, so we're hoping for new tables and a cement pad. Getting these items approved will bring players from around the area to use the courts, but also bring business to the local business community. We're working on bringing more people to Fitchburg by offering tournaments, pickleball leagues, and more coaching opportunities. Once the wind factor is mitigated, we expect to see even more players at McGaw Park. We'll see them shopping at our businesses and stop for a bite to eat or a beer at our fabulous restaurants. So if your goal is to make your community very happy, please approve these improvements.
So thank you, Shelley.
Any questions?
Can they have questions? We can have. Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering, has the Parks Commission considered planting trees around the outside? Something like, I don't know, like an arborvitae that could, make a solid wall without having a lot of leaves to clean up in the fall, that sort of thing.
Maybe we can ask Scott.
I think certainly if you've been out there, it is a rather tight site. There certainly is some opportunities for some arborvitae maybe on the north and west side, which we certainly can take a look at. But eventually, hopefully, we'll get some additional facilities which might, limit the amount of, landscape. Although we could, try to factor that into future development of the area.
David?
Have you considered, with this many people, fundraising to pay part of this? I hear about the mud. I've got anywhere from 10 to 40 kids every night in the park by my house playing soccer in a field that's mud. And, we make no improvement. I just feel I want the slats on the fence so the court's better. I feel this is something, there's a park shelter a ways away. I feel if you wanted this, I'd like you to raise the funds for it. I'm all for us putting the slats up so it's workable, but I feel we have too many other needs to spend that money on that. I'd like you to come up with, I'd like your organization to come up with the money for that.
Any other questions, Joe?
Just for context, Scott, can you tell or Mayor why this is proposed as a budget amendment mid-year as opposed to potentially being built into a CIP or or this year's budget last year?
Yeah, I can cover that. So this was not part of the planned expenditures. It is going to come from park improvement fees, so it's not necessarily coming from levy. And we were approached, obviously, since the pickleball courts have been constructed and opened for some ongoing improvements. There may have been some opportunities to finish the courts in a more suitable fashion right from the get-go. One of the things that we have heard is obviously the windscreen issue. If the wind blows more than approximately 10 miles an hour, it makes the courts relatively unplayable, period. So perhaps that should have been factored in when we had originally constructed the courts. Same with the access from a concrete standpoint as far as, walking across the grass. We do recognize that that does create the potential for one to track dirt and debris onto the courts, which could damage the surface plus lead to injury, and creating a space where folks can ultimately gather and congregate there on the patio side of things. And it was brought to our attention that there had been one of the older picnic tables there that had collapsed when somebody was seated on it during late last year, is my understanding. So hence, it didn't make it in time for budgetary conversations. So these are all things that try to perhaps address unmissed opportunities or missed opportunities in the original construction.
Could I ask a follow-up? What is the state of our kind of parks fees budget? Are we good? Like, is this
So yeah,
top of the bucket, or is it?
Yeah, we can accommodate this in consultation with our finance director, Misty Dodge. She's comfortable with this expenditure using those fees.
Okay.
David.
Is that true, Scott? I'm told, we wanted a water fountain in the Pocket Park and one in the common area in Jamestown. I'm told we can't do that because they're too expensive. And so is this true?
Well, we can certainly have that conversation at another time since it's not agended. But one of the things we look at is what our ability to use park improvement fees and our fee in lieu of park dedication. And typically those have to be either utilized in the neighborhood in which the development has occurred, or in certain cases they can be used in projects that benefit the community as a whole. And because we only have one pickleball court in the community, the interpretation is that the singular pickleball court location is a community amenity, and therefore those funds can be utilized for that.
Any other questions? So I have another resident that wished to speak, Patrick Cheney.
Patrick Cheney. I live very close to McGaw Park, so I see a lot of everything that goes on there. And I was a park commissioner until very recently. This was on the Park Commission agenda at last week's meeting. I thought about this in advance on the agenda and thought it was agreeable, so I voted for it. It passed at Parks, but not unanimously. And then I thought about it a lot more, and I also discussed many ideas with a friend of mine. Now, CAPA is the Capital Area Pickleball Association, and they seem to be the prime users and the requesters here. But note that it's not named the Fitchburg Resident Pickleball Association, and I've seen from the reports that CAPA always rents the courts at the low discount resident rate without any questions or justification, proof, whatever you want to say, about how many are residents, how many are non-residents. So I know CAPA has said, thanks for the courts, and now can we have some more stuff? So maybe the response should be, why should we? And what is CAPA contributing? So an idea between my friend and I that I want to suggest, and Gabrielle actually asked about this in the finance meeting just before. This seems like an ideal matching funds project. Now, it could be dollar for dollar, but $17,000 from, the pickleball groups is a lot to ask for, but any matching amount that the council likes, maybe for every dollar contributed, the council could match with $2 or even $3. This, of course, should be separate from the court rental, which in total was $1,780 last year, and this year is at $980 to date, so it's on pace for about the same amount or maybe more this year. And maybe look into requiring non-resident groups to pay the non-resident rate. Now, related to pickleball courts, but for future consideration, I would advise caution on something I've heard of building more pickleball courts so soon after these have opened, because an oversupply of courts means there's always open courts. Now, the players like that, but what revenue do we get when there's so many courts that nobody has to rent them? This leads to no reserving and rental needed, and the rental revenue drops toward zero. Thanks. Questions?
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, so we need 2/3 of the vote. Oh, Gabriela.
Yeah, I talked about this a little bit in finance too, but I keep going back to the inclusive playground and how that project, the entire project was a 50-50 fundraise and then city match. And then all of the amenities that came afterward, the shade structure, the park benches, very similar things to what we're seeing at the pickleball courts in some ways, in that it makes it more usable for the people that are going to use it. Those were all fundraised by the community to pay for that. So I don't have any problem with using park fees on the pickleball courts. Obviously, they're well loved and well used, but I do have an issue with the difference in how certain projects are treated in terms of which ones are we telling the community that they have to fundraise for, and which ones are we going to apply park money to. I don't love the idea of it being like. I don't think we should be stingy with our park money. I would rather we just use that money. Like the inclusive playground could have used the park improvement fees because it's a community resource. There's only one inclusive playground in the city of Fitchburg. So, and I also think about the dog park advocates. They raise money for that water, the water fountain themselves. So yeah, when you say that, Dave, also other park things in the community that are needs. I don't know. It's just hard for me to swallow that there are some projects that we require fundraising and some projects that we don't. So I don't know. I struggle with that.
Thank you. Any other comment, Jim?
Yeah, I have a little bit of an issue too with the, I guess I'm just confused on how this all works and how we allocate money to parks. I mean, what Dave said, with the park in his neighborhood, it's like, well, why aren't we putting money into that park? And, we have people here that's just coming to ask us for money. And then, like Gabriella said, some groups are asked to raise money themselves. And it seems like somewhat of an equity issue here. And there's no consistency. And I think there needs to be some consistency on how we actually disperse those funds.
Any other comment? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have similar concerns with both alders. Also, just kind of looking at where the pickleball court is, it's not on a bus line, right? So if you don't live in the neighborhood, you have to drive there. Right, so if we're talking equity issue, that's like an additional thing. Like there's a lot of our parks that, there's a lot of areas of our city that need amenities badly, where there's a lot of people that live without transportation. So I think that's an additional equity consideration to take into consideration, like who is using it, and what access do our improvements provide as well. So that's just an additional concern I want to put out there. I will be voting yes, but I think we probably need to think about how we take on potential asks when it comes to like projects and improvements.
Any other question? Okay, Bill.
So what's the difference between the resident and the non-resident fee? What percentage of the time is CAPA using these? I mean, can we talk about temporarily raising the fee? We foot the bill up front. We recoup that over the course of the next X number of years via, temporarily higher rental fees, and then the fee can go back to what it is now at some point in the future.
So the fees are established annually in the operating budget process, so that would be an opportunity for the council to consider what the fees are for court rental, whether it's pickleball courts, shelters, community center rooms, those sorts of things would be the opportunity that the council would typically use to address fees that we charge in the city.
If I might?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, in regards to the resident and non-resident fees, the person or the group that rents the facility, the individual, similar to parks or the community center, those are the residency or non-residency classifications. Certainly, I think when you get into park shelter rentals or ball diamond rentals, you know, how many of the park shelter rental customers are resident and non-residents? You know, I think you can try to manage that, but that becomes difficult. So the resident or non-resident fee is determined by who is reserving the facility. And
any other question?
Non-resident or resident status.
So in other words, if like me and 10 of my friends came to play a game and I live in Fitchburg and the other 9 don't, that's sort of what it determines? Okay.
Whoever reserves it, yeah, that's correct.
Any other questions? Okay, so since I hear that there are different conflicted opinions here, so I'm gonna request roll call, and we need 2/3 of the vote because this is a budget amendment. So
2/3 of members present?
yeah.
Okay.
You need 6. Yep.
Alder Allen is absent with excuse. Alder Gerhardt?
Aye.
Alder Herps?
Nay.
Alder Jetzer?
Aye.
Alder Maldonado?
Aye.
Alder Strassman?
Nay.
Alder Udell?
Aye.
Alder Wheeler?
Nay.
So you have 4-3.
So
Motion fails.
motion failed. So okay. Thank you. The motion failed. So thank you for coming. So next we move to commission report. The next one is library board. Jim?
Haven't had the first meeting, attended my first meeting yet, but did go through orientation yesterday, so that was fine. But
Okay.
nothing else to report.
Okay, thank you. Commission of Aging Well is Jay, he's not here. Resource Conservation Commission, Gabriela.
Yes, we met last night, and quite a lot happened. We had a discussion about summer water conservation efforts and how we can incentivize people to save water as they use it over the summer. Might be rolling out some things related to that, but we did want to point out that there's a couple of credits that people can take advantage of. There's a toilet rebate. If you put in a low flow toilet, you get $100 back from the city if you fill out some paperwork. And there's also a stormwater utility credit for people that do things like have rain barrels and have native plants in their yards. So that's also something that you can take advantage of if you apply for it. So we want to try to make that more visible to people in the community. So keep that in mind. The waterway cleanup was a great success. We had a bigger turnout than we've had in the last few years. A lot of trash picked up. So, and it was a lot of fun. So it was a perfect day. It was like one of the best days in April. So that was fun. And then we had the recycle event was very successful. There were 3.1 tons of shredded paper and 5.37 tons of electronics that were collected in those 3 hours. And I want to thank Mayor Areta and Alder Udell for coming out and helping with that. It was a lot of fun, so maybe we'll have some of you next year. A couple of events that are coming up. First up is on May 18, so in a couple weeks. It's a Thursday night, 5:30 p.m. at the library. There's going to be the PFAS and other water quality, and our water quality event. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's 6:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. at the library, May 18. It should be a really good event. There's going to be pizza served, and there's going to be giveaways. So definitely check that out. I can send the flyer out to all the council members so you have that. And then later on down the line, there's going to be a event on June 8th. It's the e-bike event. is an e-bike right for you? There's going to be a couple companies there, kind of a more like recreational e-bike, and then also some cargo bikes that are more functional for doing chores and such. So that's going to be June 8th, 2023, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at McKee Farms Park in the shelter. And I will send that flyer out to the council as well if you want to share it out. And then staff updates. So they did do a street sweeper art contest for our new street sweeper. They got 30 drawings, and their staff is picking top 2. That's going to be put on the side of the street sweeper. So that should be coming mid-June, which will be fun. Oh, sorry, that's coming soon. I don't know if you guys have a date on that, but we'll announce it as soon as we have the drawing done. Stormwater updates. There's a whole bunch of things. The Sherrill Drive Stormwater Project is going to restart soon, with an anticipated completion of mid-June. The Dunn's Marsh stormwater study is complete. The plan is to do some design and permitting in-house rather than contracting it out. So more to come on that. The preliminary modeling for the Seminole Glen stormwater project has been complete. It looks like there are some options that will be possible for water volume. They're still looking at water quality considerations, but Ben shared that there's a real connection to the Schumann Drive sewer expansion project, and they kind of have to be done together because the water has to go somewhere, and that Schumann Drive expansion CIP project has to be done as well. So they're very much connected. So that's stormwater. And then in terms of sustainability, No Mow May is happening. There's been about 50 signups, but it seems like there's more people participating than the 50. So if you do want to participate, it'd be great to get a sign up so we know what's happening. And we had a great discussion too about maybe next year advertising that you don't just have to do no mow. You can mow less, or you can mow like a little bit less down, or instead of taking 3 inches off, take 1 inch off. And there's other ways to help pollinators besides just not mowing your lawn the entirety of May. So, and maybe for some people that would be a better option than just not mowing at all. So we're gonna probably advertise that again next year if we are able to do it again. And then wanted to note too, so we are experiencing some solar panel failures on City Hall. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but I did want to flag it. There are these inverters that are failing. We've had 4 replaced under warranty, but the company that holds the warranty is apparently folding its operations in the United States, and we are working on getting the 3 more replaced, and this is a ongoing problem that's happening all over the country. So Phil Groupie is working on that and can give an update as soon as he knows more, but it has been an issue in terms of solar power output on the city buildings. And that's all I have.
Thank you. So, Transportation and Transit Commission.
My first meeting is Thursday.
SIDA.
We had the pleasure of attending the Mackenzie Workforce Development Center, the Boys and Girls Club. Its construction is well underway. It's a beautiful facility. It will be the new headquarters of the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County. So they will, I think, be renting out their office that's off of Todd Drive, or off of the Beltline Frontage Road. It's been really heavily utilized. They've brought in a lot of different groups, and the vision for kind of what it can be used for is really unique. And also other Boys and Girls Clubs have been considering sort of that partnership with builders associations to do similar projects in other parts of the country. So it's actually setting a precedent. One thing that their vice president, who's leading the project, brought up is that it's not on a bus line, so a bus comes pretty close to it, but it's probably a good half a mile away. So I mean, I'm not sure kind of where we're at in terms of Madison Metro, but I did mention that I would kind of bring it up to other alders, and whether it's like a pay-in system where they can kind of do what Epic does and get some transportation over there. I don't know, but it was a concern that was expressed, since it will be a very heavily used location. So our next meeting is on the 25th at 7 a.m.
Question, Gabriela?
I just wanted to add something to Joe's report. So the new transit network redesign is starting June 11th. So obviously that's, the route will be changing. So it'll be interesting to see how that interacts with the workforce development, but obviously more conversation needs to be had. But just wanted to flag that for people.
What's the closest bus stop to that area?
I believe there's one at the top of Antine Drive. And so you'd have to cross the bridge.
Okay.
I believe that. And I don't know that existed before. So I think it is closer than what currently exists.
Okay.
That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you, Joe. Next, Ag and Rural Affairs Committee, Randy?
We have not met, so nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Bike Committee?
Our next meeting isn't until June, but we do have a poll out of the new members to kind of make sure that we can find a time that works for folks, because the 7:30 a.m. meetings were a barrier for one of the potential new members. But apart from that, just kind of echoing the our city administrator's report, which is come out tomorrow, to the opening of the B-cycle at the Agora Pavilion.
Thank you. Next, EMS, Jim?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Healthy Neighborhood Committee, Jay's not here. Housing Advisory Committee?
We meet next month. That'll be my first meeting.
Okay, thank you. Landmark Preservation Commission, Shannon?
We have not met.
Okay, thank you. Tree Advisory Committee, Shannon?
We meet on this Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Other commission, Police Facility Oversight, Jim?
We have not met yet.
Okay. Thank you. And next we move to the standing committee reports. Finance Committee, Randy?
Okay, very good. Motion to move Resolution R-85-23, amending the 2023 Technology Fund Budget Consulting Services.
Second.
Okay, what is this?
Okay. Well, we do have Terry on.
Okay.
He can step in as well, but the city runs its back-end server systems on a Windows operating system, and unfortunately, our on-base and certificate authority servers are running on a version of Windows that's no longer supported, or will no longer be supported in October of 2023 this year. So moving these systems to a new set of servers will require some consultants' help and resulting in unforeseen costs. And I believe that additional cost is around $13,150 in total. I don't know, Terry, do you want to expand on what I've just described?
Sure. You said it very well, Alder. I just want to say that, we have a small team, and OnBase is a pretty heavy lift as far as migrating that to a new server or a new set of servers, as well as we're going to do a little bit of reconfiguration to try and alleviate some issues that we've seen in the past, as well as the certificate authority. That's a specialty system that none of my team have the skill set to be able to move, and those are very important servers in that they facilitate the secure communication between systems within our infrastructure.
Any other question for Terry? Oh, David.
It's critical that thank you for moving this forward. In my company, we lost a server, a drive that had, we're still struggling. It hurt us immensely, and I do not want to see this happen to the city. We would go backwards too far if we lost a large amount of data. So please get this taken care of as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-85-23, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All those in favor, motion carried. Okay, so thank you, Terry. Next is Personnel Committee. Oh, Randy, anything else from finance?
Nothing further. No,
Okay.
thank you.
Personnel committee.
Personnel meets tomorrow, May 10th at 5:15 p.m. We got some classification title upgrades and new classifications for staff, employee handbook update, and then we will be getting an update on the organizational and staffing plan, so I can report back at the next meeting where that is. The Mission Vision Core Values Project that Administrator Brecklin talked about. So it'll be a good meeting.
Okay, thank you. Public safety and human services.
We have a large uptick in activities, whether it's birthday parties, graduation parties, many joyous events in Fitchburg. Also add, we approved the Festa Italia coming up, which Tracy believes is maybe the 15th year it's been there. We have the Festival of Speed coming up with pyrotechnics, and we have a number of runs and walks going on. So we had to move the meeting up a half hour because we had so many activities. So it's a fun time of the year for our city. A lot of things being celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we move to new business, and we have a direct referral. Gabriela?
I move approval of Resolution R9623, authorizing a contract with Pale Blue Dot LLC for City of Fitchburg Sustainability Plan.
Second.
I don't know who's second.
Who are you giving it to?
Randy? Okay. So did RCC approve?
Yes.
Did Finance Committee approve?
Finance Committee approved.
Okay, so what is this? We have Phil also to speak up, so I don't know. Gabriela?
Yeah, this is the contract for the sustainability plan that we've budgeted for this year. It's a really interesting organization that has a lot of experience developing sustainability plans specifically, not just planning in general. And they've done work in the Midwest before, but all over. They have a lot of access to past plans and also resources on ordinances and things that have actually worked and been implemented in cities. So there's a lot of real data-driven items. They have a really great, robust community engagement plan, including potentially a youth engagement component, which would be exciting. And also, I think they're going to leave us with some really specific actionable items and also metrics that we can use to track our progress going forward. I think it's a pretty incredible plan, and RCC was very enthusiastic about it and had some good questions. But Phil, is there anything you want to add?
That was a great summary. You did it a lot more succinctly than I think I would have. So there was a panel of Ben Schulte and Brad Sipple and myself, and we interviewed several different candidates, really came away impressed with several of them, but Pale Blue Dot especially rose to the top based on the experience that Gabriela is talking about, particularly with climate and sustainability plans and working with municipalities to really understanding the situation that we're in and the specific needs that we have as a medium municipality. We're really excited about this and looking forward to get this process started. We're looking at probably maybe things will speed up a little bit if stuff's really come together quickly, but we're estimating about an 18-month timeline. So this will be done late 2024, October-ish.
Any question? Joe?
Yeah, I definitely echoing like the last part of the RF or the proposal, and willing to help in any way if there needs to be like connections to different organizations or school districts or anything like that. I would be glad to collaborate.
Any other questions? No? All those in favor of resolution R-84-23, say aye. No.
Aye. Oh, 96.
No. Sorry. 96-23.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Sorry, wrong page. So, Randy.
Okay. Motion to move resolution R-97-23, approving the 2023 Dane County contract for senior center nutrition and case management services.
Second.
Any comments about this?
Yes. Well, Dane County provides the funding to the city of Fitchburg, to support the case management services and the meal program, which is offered through the senior center. The amount received is based on a formula created by Dane County. The 2023 contract was previously approved this past January by the city and not by Dane County, though. The county requested changes to the city addendum that accompanied the contract, And then our city attorney worked with Dane County Council to add language about compliance that fits with the city's ordinance. So both parties are now comfortable with the addendum to the contract. And that's what, basically it's a language issue.
Okay.
So that's what we're voting on this evening.
Thank you. Any question for Randy? No? All those in favor of resolution R-97-23 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So thank you. And next we move to the mayor report. So I want to share with you a couple of things. So the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce invited me to be a speaker for the business luncheon last Tuesday and share my priorities as a mayor. And I want to mention that it was a very well-attended event, and David was there too, so thank you for coming. I also attended a neighborhood meeting in Southdale area. It was organized by a developer who wants to build a 24-unit townhomes, a homeowner occupy. And I had the opportunity to listen to several of the neighbors about their concern. There are some concerns there, but everything can be fixable. I also I worked with Lisa to recruit the speaker for the Memorial Service Day. Is Captain Colin Kenny, and his theme for the speech will be honoring our nation heroes, reflection on Memorial Day. He's an active Guard Reserve officer with the Wisconsin Army National Guard, and everyone is invited to this service. It's going to be May 29 at 12:30 at the Veterans Memorial at Gorman Wayside. Okay, so you will receive the invitation. Okay. It's almost done. And then I assisted to the Latino Chamber of Commerce graduation ceremony for 2044 entrepreneurs for a class called To Empresa. It means your company. The Fitchburg Chamber is located in Fitchburg, and they are doing a great thing with assisting Latino businesses. CIP, I finished with all the meeting with the head of the department. I work with Chad and Misty. And I am currently working with them to finalize this. So it's going to come soon. What is going to be at the end?
I believe it's released the last week of May.
May? Really?
Yep. Clock is ticking.
Okay. And also, I am meeting with all the heads of the department. I have like individual meetings with them to have an idea what are the priorities and challenges for 2023. And also to get to know them, some of them are new. So the next coming events that are going to be participating is tomorrow is the Ribbon County for the Bee Cycle. I'm going to be there. And also I will attend the Dane County Cities and Village Association annual meeting that is going to be tomorrow here in the city of Fitchburg. It's going to be in-person meeting. I also want to wish an excellent day for all the mothers, the city staff, and all some of the elders here, like Shannon. So happy Mother's Day. And I also want to announce that the July 11 council meeting will be canceled. So usually we have only one meeting in July, so we can give a break to the staff. So we don't have a meeting July 11, so you remove it from your calendar. So that's it. Any question for me? Okay. So next we move to the Alder district. So today is, which day is today? So we're 9, so we are going to start with the odd numbers. So let's start with number 1.
All right.
Go ahead.
Just a couple of things. Our community garden is kicked off and started. Thanks Scott and the crew for tilling up some of the plots and bringing us bark and taking away the refuse. We have a few new members this year, so the garden continues to grow. We're working with parks. We're thinking about doing a pilot project, a little prairie restoration, and we're also planning to get in a group of volunteers to keep the brush down in the unmowed area, so Scott's group doesn't have to mow that. We'll be working on Friday to do that. And we have a neighbor, my neighbor's Mr. Vang. I see in his house they have a food cart that he's going to be starting, Asian food cart, and so if you get a chance, we would encourage you to patronize, the small business that neighbors are starting. It's very encouraging. He's a very hardworking, industrious family. So thank you.
He's coming to the block party.
Yes.
No, I'm inviting him now.
Good. I'll invite him for you.
Please. Awesome. So we have, there are a bunch of summer programs through the Boys and Girls Club. I'm just going to list a few. There's a Explorers Landscaping Camp, a Skilled Trades Career Exploration Camp, an Entrepreneurship Camp, a Habitat for Teens Building Camp, a Summer Auto Workshop Camp, Ready to be a Construction Laborer Camp, She Builds Summer Camp, and a Teen Building Workshop. So all of those can be found at the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County website, bgcdc.org, for youth aged 12 to 17. There are a few bike repair workshops coming up, and I'm going to tell you the dates on those. So one is on the, sorry about that, one is on the 24th of this month, and the other is on the 31st. So the 31st will be, sorry, I don't have this up already. My apologies. The 24th will be at Luna's Groceries. The 31st will be at King James Way Park, both of them at 3 p.m. And then I also wanted to add to the mayor's report on the Latino Chamber of Commerce. We are losing a really great asset to our community. Jessica Cavazos, who's the CEO of the Latino Chamber of Commerce, has taken a position at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. That'll be a huge, I think, asset to Madison. She said she's going to be coming here like every 2 weeks. So I'm sure she's going to use some of those resources to be able to help out our community. Jorge Antezana is going to be taking on an interim role as director, so the chamber is in really good hands. But they had a great celebration, and just kind of a testament to the impact that she's made here in the past 7 years since she came to Madison. So congratulations, Jessica, and see you back in Madison when you come visit us.
Thank you. District 3, Jim. Oh, Shannon.
I got moved, huh?
Happy Mother's Day to you too, Julia.
Thank you.
I have no report.
Okay. So, District 4, Jim.
Yeah, construction begins on Lacey Road between First Corona to Seminole Highway, coming up on May 15th. If you've driven by there, you see a lot of trees were taken down. Our forester was able to save 4 trees out of all of them, but you drive by there, it looks really different. So that project should be completed by hopefully mid-November. That's it.
Thank you. Randy?
No, nothing to report. Jim covered it.
Okay, thank you. District 2, Bill.
Last week, I attended a session by the Dane County Energy and Climate contact, Kathy Kuntz. She talked about the Inflation Reduction Act and all the various tax credits you can take advantage of as a homeowner for various improvements you make to your home for energy efficiency. More interestingly, I chatted with her afterwards, and she talked about the sustainability plan for the city of Middleton. And I think as we engage on our own sustainability plan, I guess I hope that we have open relations with all of the neighboring municipalities in Dane County and can learn from each other. Tomorrow there is a Leopold neighborhood meeting that I will be attending via Zoom. And that's my update.
Thank you. Gabriela?
Yeah, I wanted to flag again that the Sherrill Drive Stormwater Project is restarting. It's in District 2 and should be done fairly soon. That will help with the stormwater issues in that area, but not going to fix them. So that will have to happen as we redo those roads and improve the stormwater pipes in that area is the long-term solution. And then, Kids Building Wisconsin is going to be on May 20th. It's a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in McKee Farms Park. So that should be a fun event before the next council meeting. There's also an interesting event at Promega. It's going to be on May 10th next week. Oh, no, it's tomorrow. Oh, my gosh. Wednesday, May 10th, tomorrow from 5:30, there's a sustainable laboratory showcase at Promega featuring the Kornberg Center, which does some sustainability. And I believe they're going to show off the Promega facility, so that's pretty interesting. And I also wanted to reiterate that PFAS and our water quality event that I mentioned during RCC report, Thursday, May 18 at the library, 6 to 7:30. And I did send out the flyer to the council about that. And then the last thing was, no, I think that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So next announcement, our next common council meeting will be May 23rd. Our next committee of the whole, it will be in May 24. We are going to discuss financial policy with Misty Dodge. A chamber update. Okay, Fitchburg chamber update. So I need a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. We are adjourning at 8:51. So thank you very much, Fitchburg.